Have you heard of a little something called Chica's Party World? Well, I'm sure modern fans have. As most know, Chica's Party World was prominently featured in Secret of the Mimic. In that game, it was revealed to be a restaurant that commissioned Murray's costume manor for animatronics. Whether or not the company was founded or bought by Fazbear Entertainment, somehow their characters Chica the Chicken and her trusty cupcake ended up in the main Fazbear crew lineup. However, before Secret of the Mimic released, Chica's Party World was a confusing part of FNAF lore, having first been seen all the way back before Sister Location even came out, hidden in the source code of ScottGames.com as an alleged client of Circus Baby's entertainment and rentals. That was all the fans had to work with before the release of Ultimate Custom Night in 2018, which introduced Funtime Chica to the cast, a character who, alongside Bonnie, did not have a Funtime variant in Sister Location. Because of the restaurant's earlier association with Circus Babies, the new character was assumed to have been meant for Chica's Party World. I mean, it made sense. What else could they have commissioned, or perhaps rented out, if not a Funtime Chica? There was a lack of information beyond that, but you know how FNAF fans get when given any little detail. They're second only to FNF modders in terms of making full games out of the tiniest of scraps. From a single visual in Pizza Simulator of a random bar called Juniors, we got the fan game Juniors. From that one fan game in FNAF 2 where a bear serves cake to kids, we got Cake Bear in... So it was inevitable that fans quickly got to work on their own interpretations of what Chica's Party World would look and play like. And they are definitely interesting. With these fan games featuring everything from balding prototype chickens to mermaid babies, join me as I venture down one crazy rabbit hole.
That'll teach you for trying to trick this old bird.
I did not know these first games existed when I decided to make this video. I originally only planned to cover the 3 that I knew about. But with a random recommendation for a Dark Taurus video, I was made aware there's a somewhat grimy looking one with the subtitle Out of the Dark, released all the way back in 2016. And this one has a remake, without the subtitle, so they just call that one Chica's Party World 2019. The plot varies between them, but it involves a Detective Parker who is either dead and having his death investigated, or is the one investigating a different death, I think. I went ahead and played both to be thorough, and they're pretty short, so whatever. Before I proceed, I will mention these games definitely should not be taken as a representation of the creator, Rookie's, current skills, as looking at their page, they've been cooking up some pretty cool stuff. Both games star classic Chica, as well as Balloon Boy, or here, Theo for some reason, plus Lolbit. Neither game tries very hard to make these guys look like they came from the same place. Out of the Dark is the worst with it, especially when you see them side by side. Lolbit just ends up looking over-designed. Out of the Dark runs surprisingly smoothly and you are being constantly threatened, even if the threats are not too hard to deal with. Here, creepy Chica wanders around the place, and if you let her go too long, you get a tick on the danger meter. You can make that go down by resetting her AI using the head icon on the right. But she can only spawn once at a time, so it's best not to let it go up too much or it'll be difficult to get it back down. In the meantime, you're supposed to be holding control to collect data from the place. Chica always makes a sound when spawning, so it's easy to know when to stop collecting to look for her. With only Chica active on night 1, the game is super easy. Thusly, I found out that if you click on the random head of Rockstar Chica on the table, you can do this.
Trick this old bird.
Remember to subscribe! On Investigation 2 and 3, the only other nights in the game, these 2 buttons in the office come into play. And you have to keep an eye on the number in the top right of the monitor, which is the camera power. On 2, the Balloon Boy virus will begin to spawn and block random cams while stealing power. And on 3, Lolbit will randomly spawn in the office and sap power until zapped with the left button. If either or both of them take all the power, you have to recharge the cameras with the right button to be able to use them again. After each investigation, there's a mini scene in which you can go to the right through an exit door, or go all the way there, then turn around and head back to touch a broken animatronic. I found the animatronic my first playthrough, and if you do, you get 2 stars on the menu instead of 1, but the ending does not change. In the extras menu, you can talk to that broken animatronic, where it will reveal a new fan game that, as far as I can find, never came out. Despite Out of the Dark being a bit buggy, calling attention to the BB virus having a tendency to get stuck, and that one camera towards the bottom being hard to click on, I thought it was pretty fun, even though it was very easy. To contrast it, I found 2019 to be kinda boring. It throws away any of the unique mechanics from Out of the Dark to go back to a standard office defense, giving you a light and the ability to hide, plus a single door to stare at. Chica, looking fresher now, will move through the cameras to your office, and when she arrives, you have to either flash her or hide. Flashing seems to be far more consistent, even though the phone guy says not to do it because it will damage her hardware. Except that never comes into play. She does not make a sound on arrival though, so you have to watch Cam 3 to know if she's about to appear. And that makes Cam 3 most of the gameplay. You wait for Chica to finish striking poses in the lobby, and then you flash her. And then repeat. And boy, is she slow on night 1. Night 2 brings in JJ, but they call her Ella. She can't be seen on the cameras and makes a thunk sound when at the door, where you gotta flash her, or she'll take your light and hiding ability away for a bit. She gets in super fast, so her lack of visibility is annoying. Night 3 adds BB, or Theo, and he's another invisible one, but he makes a directional sound depending on which vent he's climbed into on the cams, which must be sealed. Then you've got Lolbit, who gradually moves towards the breaker in her room if you don't watch her, preventing her from taking the cameras and your defense against Theo. There ends up being no reason to hang out in the office beyond playing with the door whose handle doesn't seem to obey the laws of physics when flashed. In between the nights, mini-scenes return, telling a real story this time, where I think this little boy is upset that his sister is more loved than him. So he ends up sticking her in Chica's mouth at a party, and you can probably guess how that ends. To 2019's credit, it was at least harder to beat. Ironically, all because of one animatronic that can't even directly kill you. It felt like a bit of a downgrade overall, but I guess it doesn't really matter in the end. Even found out after writing this segment that these games aren't even public on the creator's page anymore, and were only accessible through direct page links in YouTube descriptions. Better we go and play After Hours at Cody's instead. That looks pretty good. The first game I found when originally researching this was a very old demo simply called Chica's Party World. The original download has been removed from GameJolt, so this is a re-upload. Given how it was unobtainable before this, and searching it pulls up more about the remake of it I'll go over later, this game's history is a little hard to find. I just have this. It was developed by Poisonous Pastels and Bon Bun Studios, and then cancelled after the demo release in 2018. And the demo was announced with an SFM animation of the main characters, which was also deleted before being re-uploaded by the same person who had the game. The demo contains 2 nights and a post-night activity, all of which I played, and to give brief thoughts on it, I thought it felt smooth to play even if animatronic AI was not the most polished. Why so brief? Well, after I scripted the whole section on this game, I saw the comments by the developer on the GameJolt page for the remake that seem very against this game being played in the modern day. This re-upload isn't endorsed whatsoever by Poisonous Pastels, and they don't want it mentioned or looked at anymore at all. Ultimately, I decided that out of respect for that, I'm going to keep the game in the video, but only as small references, since I personally think it contextualizes the remake I'm looking at later. And in my opinion, I was able to appreciate that remake more when I knew what came before, so I don't want to dismiss it entirely. Instead, we'll put a pin in it and compare the two when it's relevant. For now, let's skip to...
They gave baby a mermaid tail?
Now this fan game was the main reason I wanted to make this video. Never before have I seen such an immaculate mess presented in the form of a game. It's a beautiful free-roam sandbox of endless possibilities with a FNAF coat of paint and a strange obsession with Sonic the Hedgehog. I feared it may have become lost media when I tried to find it for this video, but I was just searching the wrong name. It's not Chica's Party World, it is very specifically 5 Nights at Chica's Party World. Get it right. I first heard of this fan game when I saw Astral Spiff play it in a video back in 2023. when it was pretty new. The game was created by Jordan is Great 505, and apparently it takes place in 1982. Chica's Party World is the most advanced diner in the country, and you're taking a job as a night guard there, only to find out this establishment has a very and hidden past that you must undercover. No, you're fine. Put the phone down. I was curious to see if the guy's improved since this game. On his page, I can see an update on adding dinosaurs to his next game, Five Nights at Fredbear's 3. Well, I suppose I'm glad his creative spirit is still intact. The game starts up greeting me with Funtime Chica, Ennard, and a motionless Funtime Foxy staring at me through a doorway. Oh, also this game calls itself Mediocre in the folder and Task Manager. Hey, now we haven't even pressed play. Don't be so hard on yourself. Although on doing that, I'm dropped into a dark environment as the MC, yes, the game just calls him the MC, delivers a monologue rivaled only by the Burger King foot lettuce guy.
Here we are, Chica's Party World. I hope the pay is worth it.
Pressing F tells me I do not have a flashlight in my equipment despite my very dark surroundings. So besides noticing a few stock-looking assets and accidentally wandering into a trigger that results in the MC calling attention to a kitchen door for some reason, the most notable thing in this room is the window looking outdoors, which seems to reveal that this animatronic diner is located in the middle of the ocean. Approaching the show stage in the next room, we can see a Lawbit, Funtime Chica, and a fixed-up Ennard. When getting near each character, the MC pipes up with his psychic intuition regarding what they probably do when hostile. Lawbit looks to be very fast. Chica doesn't look like much of a threat, rude. And Ennard, or the animatron clown, who by the way is already stanced up and ready to get me, looks like he will be going in the vents. Oh yeah, get used to typos, this game is full of them. Other facets of the facility include some arcade machines and some really dangly lights. There are some other animatronics around too. I find a stage with a polished scrap baby on it, apparently called Unscrap Baby, which is a strange name for an animatronic, as if they knew she was going to become scrapped later. And another animatronic who resembles a repaired Molten Freddy that has puppets sticking to it. A supposed cardboard cutout of Lawbit catches my attention with just how odd it looks, but wandering over to it causes the MC to comment on the electric box next to it looking easy to break into. This is foreshadowing Lawbit's future hacking abilities. Walking into the office nearby immediately begins the night. However, your freedoms aren't reduced. You do have 3 doors to your name, on both entrances and in front of the vent, finally a flashlight to grab from a cabinet behind you, and a camera system to check on the robots. Wanna know something funny about that? You open them with the 0 key on your numpad. Not just the 0 key, it is specifically the numpad one. First time I played this, I was on a laptop, which didn't have a numpad, so I didn't get to have cameras. You'd think you could just click on the screen or just have it on any 0 key, but okay.
Numpad 0 to use I don't have a numpad. Wait, I don't have a numpad.
Well, they aren't that necessary yet anyway. You are fully able to waltz on out of the room and mingle with your animatronic foes. The only one of those active right now is Ennard. It was mentioned before that he likes the vents, but he also wanders the main building, and is the most basic according to the phone guy. After shutting him out once, I got bored and started exploring inside the vent. Cause yeah, you can just climb on in there yourself and run around. That's actually a guaranteed win method if you cannot beat a night, since there's a little ramp in here you can climb and sit at the top of, and regardless of each one's ability to enter the vent while chasing you, none of the bots can get up this ramp. The view isn't very interesting though, so after Ennard spawned inside the vent, I just followed him around until he was deleted from existence and 6 AM hit. Don't worry, I'm not gonna be spending the whole game in the vents. After the night ends, I am whisked away to Chica's party. I must feed cakes to the children of Chica's Party World to win. Left mouse to hit cakes? But never mind, let's just give it a shot. In this minigame, you play as Chica, while a 16-bit rendition of Quartz Quadrant from Sonic CD plays in the background. This horde of pixelated children will continuously demand cakes, but when I get near them, they take it back. I have no idea what I'm meant to be doing. I go into the other room and find JJ there with a table of cakes, so it looks like I have to get the right cake they want and give it to them. However, when I return with a cake, none of the children will accept anything, merely dancing in place as I stare at them and think about the life choices that led me here. Okay, well, let me talk about something else. I like thinking that this is how the animatronics see their surroundings, all pixelated like this. You can see the other bots are also in this style when I turn around. I don't know if that's why they made it look like this, or if it was just because the person who made this is a huge Sonic fan. Probably the latter, but I'm gonna stick with my headcanon. The end of the music signifies the end of the game, and I am then sent to a bedroom where a few options are presented to me. I can watch a VHS tape, take healing pills? Why is the description so in-depth? Then when I am ready, clicking on the bed starts the next night. I figure I ought to get some lore, so I pick up the VHS tape, but I can't get it to play. Turns out you actually have to grab the manual for it off the desk and follow a set of instructions, not unlike using a VHS player in real life. Seems, needlessly complicated. When I get it to play, it depicts pixel figures of Henry and William discussing opening a new restaurant that will become Chica's Party World. It's all set to a 16-bit rendition of Metallic Madness Past from, again, Sonic CD. Okay, so what's up with Night 2? All that changes is new papers showing up on the desk that try setting up lore about older versions of the animatronics or just random stuff. After the Night 2 minigame, Lolbit Chase, which is a very janky 3D platformer where you have to catch up to a fleeing pizza truck, the VHS depicts some strange endoskeleton grabbing a Proto-Chica head, which then gets close to the camera and starts breathing heavily. I think the game is trying to set this Proto-Chica up as some sort of antagonist? But off the lore tangent, while the doors remain the best defense method on Night 2, they very quickly lose their usefulness as the nights progress, with more and more animatronics emerging. I can cover most of the enemies in this game at once, honestly. All of them walk around the building, with slight variations that, due to the game's less than stellar programming, end up falling to the wayside. For example, Chica wanders randomly until around 4 or 5 AM, when she starts heading directly to you, and some other characters can hack your systems, like JJ. Or at least I think that's what she's doing. Most of these extra mechanics assume you stayed in the office, yet doing that is not always a good idea. The moment these guys get blocked by anything, be it a wall, a door, another animatronic, they don't seem to realize they're blocked and keep trying to walk until eventually whatever timer they have that tells them to give up on that direction goes off and they leave, which can use all your power if they get stuck in a pile at the door and stay there for all eternity. So instead of staying in the office, if you don't want to hole up in the vent, sometimes it is a much better idea to take your chances outside, at least for some of the night. You'll need to watch out for the force that is Lolbit, though. On Night 3, you are warned that she has become active, and her run speed is faster than yours, so there is probably no escaping once she's seen you.
She's super fast and you can't outrun her, so it's important to know... Sorry.
So we're just gonna... We don't want to do another take? You're just gonna leave that in? Okay. Lolbit comes to visit almost immediately after she's mentioned, while I'm busy reading a news article on the release of Sonic Extreme in 1982. Because as we know, Sonic definitely existed in 1982. I gave up on the office pretty quickly and decided to shut that door, wait for Lolbit to get stuck to it, and go hide somewhere else in the building with the hopes I will get a change of scenery. It's then that I notice Chica making a beeline for this side of my office, so I duck backwards and she loses interest, moving back through the hanging lights, before stopping. I scooch closer, curious what she has found. It's Lolbit. The two spend what feels like years staring into each other's eyes. Oh, Lolbit can't take this pressure. Chica stands in that place for a while longer. She can't be sure what she's feeling. Is it love? You'll get him next time, Chica. Then I'm hit with the realization that I no longer know where Lolbit is, and I am too afraid to move from the spot. But it seems as if that standoff took most of the night as the 6 AM bell chimes soon after. Lolbit very quickly becomes my #1 hater. When it came to Night 4, they had me in a death loop. I attempted to escape the puppet Freddy that was coming after me, only for them to rush out of the shadows and grab me. Then I had the idea of climbing on a table so they'd get stuck on the edge and their hitbox couldn't touch me. Turns out their hitbox is the size of a football field. I thought, okay, maybe I find somewhere they probably won't path to. I hid in the bathroom, but sure enough. Also, Night 4 doesn't even bother with a phone call. You just get this mystery device on the desk that glows blue and doesn't do anything. Hey, future me here. That's wrong! That blue device showed up only once and I didn't mess with it, so I have no idea what kind of Easter egg it was meant to be. Officially out of ideas, I climbed on a different table to see if there was any difference. Well, I get to hang out with Ennard and this Proto-Chica, who's finally making an appearance, and for a while, I'm just people, or animatronic watching. That is, until everyone's favorite party pooper rushes in to ruin it, and in desperation I try to flee through the door only to run into the Freddy instead. My next move is to try hiding behind Scrap Baby's stage. No dice. They've gotta be getting some kind of ping on me. Anyway, why am I recounting every lolbit death? Well, it was through this that I discovered the game has a pretty awful audio bug. I don't know how this works, but somehow, every time you spawn back into a night after dying, another ambience track is added on top of the previous one. So if you die a bunch, you're stuck playing that night as if you're sitting in an active jet engine. Somehow, after all these deaths, I managed to find a spot on the table that was safe. So I got to enjoy a few minutes of exhilarating gameplay, during which I just stared at the old Chica and thought about how uninteresting its character was. Wait, who the hell are you? And now I shall be honest and mention I technically never beat Night 3. I hit a hard wall with its minigame. Circus Clown Shootout. Oh, sorry. Shootout. Bandits are holding up Mirage Saloon! The sheriff clowns gotta stop them! Oh, those are the bandits in question? Can I show this? Like, is there anything in the YouTube TOS against this? Or, like, should I err on the side of caution? You know, I could probably show the bat boob bandits, but when you shoot them, their slumped over bodies make me uncomfortable, so we're censoring them. The minigame is pretty annoying because the bandits all love shooting at once when you can only hit one at a time. Plus your bullets only go so far, so you have to get close enough for them to hit you to be able to hit them. Even more fun trying to climb a ladder during this bit. If you press literally anything but the up key while you're on it, you fall off. This is a miserable experience. Apparently the boss is ill chip. That works with the theme, I suppose. I hate this place and I want to leave. If I couldn't get past this, how did I play Night 4 then? Through the always accessible extras menu, of course. Heck, you can access the extras in the middle of a night for some reason. Besides letting you look at all the ridiculous variants the characters have, with them standing in front of the text so you can't easily read it, the extras let you access literally anything in the game. Any night, any minigame, and any VHS. That's how we're gonna close this out. I can play everything I missed from here. Alright, so Night 5 ended up being decently challenging. I attempted to do my usual strat of running out of the office to find somewhere to hide, but nowhere was safe. Many tries were spent dying to either lolbit or someone else's mile-wide hitbox after I climbed as high as I could get. Even after I figured out I could access the cameras from anywhere in the building, their terrible lighting and very limited range didn't help much, especially after lolbit hacked them, making them unusable. Then I tried staying in the office, ducking behind the desk to avoid spending power on blocking JJ, and taking advantage of how Baby waits outside my front door. Since, despite that being intended for her as some sort of sneak attack, her position just results in lolbit getting stuck on her when she tries to attack, totally nullifying her if you stay in the office for the start of the night. Yet, I still had trouble blocking Funtime Chica and Freddy as I was crouched a lot of the time, and your movement speed when crouched is really slow. Plus, I got both my cameras and my power display hacked, and I didn't know how to fix it. Finally, I tried hiding in the vents, but sadly my spot had been stolen by a weird new Ennard and the same puppets that are normally stuck to Freddy. I sat up there with them for a while to see if they wouldn't mind sharing, but they got sick of my company. Thusly, I ended up clicking into the help menu and found out there's a whole 9 characters I need to be keeping track of right now. However, lolbit and the hacks are the biggest problems. So what am I supposed to be doing here? Well, on Night 3, the phone guy made a big deal out of lolbit getting their hook removed for a birthday party, giving her 2 hands which apparently make it easier for her to hack my systems. Unfortunately, he forgets to ever mention what to do when that occurs. The help menu is the only place that directly states that to undo the hack, you have to type 1001 into the keypad under your desk. To undo old Chica's power display hack, you type 5005 into the second keypad. The game recommends you cue the input up, too. That's strangely useful advice for this. After a study session, I brought all my tools back to night 5. First move is to queue up both keypad inputs, then hide as soon as I hear JJ's footsteps. If she hits me, there's no way to re-enable the doors. Then I need to stay there and let baby reach the door without closing it, and monitor lolbit on the cameras, waiting until she leaves the stage. Then I listen for her fast steps outside the door, which confirms they're stuck on baby. While she's busy with that, she's likely to hack me, so after undoing that, I need to watch Showtime Freddy on the cameras to see when he gets to the party room, meaning he's close to my office. I shut the door well in advance for him due to his large hitbox. Funtime Chica would normally speak when making her move, but when she has the cupcake earlier in the night, she doesn't. So I simply watch the front door with my eyes until she appears and close it on her. Then I can check back on Showtime Freddy to see if he left, meaning I can open that door again. The Chica hack happens during this, undone with the second keypad as mentioned. Ennard now arrives in the vent with JJ again, but thankfully neither of them see me when I get up to close the back door after hearing footsteps there. Funtime Chica speaks up now that I guess she lost the cupcake, but I never even got to open that door, so it doesn't matter. Another Chica hack dealt with, followed soon after by a second lolbit hack, but the fox themselves is blocked by baby again. Suddenly, everything goes downhill as the puppets rush out of the vent at me, and I make the panicked decision to dodge them and book it into the vent, somehow missing the other Ennard who was on his way too as I run all the way up to my previous safe space where 6 AM hits. My victory is rewarded with the 5th minigame. It is a repeat of the first, except you play as the older Chica model this time, in the old version of the restaurant. A neat callback, I say, but it's still not all that fun to play. I did finally manage to feed a child this time though, even with the pink light in the cake room making it very difficult to tell the cakes apart. You know, after trying to play as intended, it's not like this made me think this game is a masterpiece, but I can more clearly see what they were trying to do. I still had to win by taking advantage of bugs and quirks, but maybe with a lot of fixing up, this gameplay loop would work somewhere. I'd still prefer less random animatronic additions though, feels unnecessary. It seems like the game takes that critique to heart when I head into night 6, but that's about the only thing it improves. Okay, it's out of nowhere, but hold on. Look at this note on the desk. It's an article on an upcoming Nightmares Bar and Grill written by Snort Hogan. Why don't you make a fan game about this place? Phone Guy says they've got unused models running around, and indeed they do. Funtime Bonnie and Proto Chica are being very annoying and running between both of the doors. They even hack me and disable my doors, but it's nice of them to put the code for the third keypad on the power display when they do. So it's easy to fix it, but a bit scary to be left defenseless during. However, they are the only ones out and about, so I decided to test them by running out and finding a hiding spot again, if lolbit was truly out of the picture. Yeah, hiding behind baby's empty show stage rendered them totally helpless as I spied on them moving to and from where they thought I was, blind to my flashlight pointed right at them from my safe space, even if Proto Chica's idle animation startled me at first. Beating night 6 rewarded me with the Employee of the Month ending where I guess we all become alcoholics. Having cleared all the nights, it's obvious I missed a lot of story and had no idea what anything meant as it was happening, so I should probably do a recap to give it a fair shot, after I watch the other tapes from the extras. Mind that the post-night minigames from nights 2 to 4 have absolutely no plot relevance, unless Balloon Boy getting lost in Hydro City Zone is really important to FNAF lore and I just happen to miss that. My interpretation of the story is, Afton and Henry are losing profits with Fredbear's, so William wants to branch out and rebrand one of their locations called Chica's Party World to be a sister location to Fredbear's. They mention wanting to move on from an incident. Afton plans to retrofit the current Chica animatronics to be far more advanced. Something like this is shown in the second VHS, with the Endo grabbing a seemingly possessed Chica head. Later, a green dude named Gordon tells Afton that Chica's Party World is starting to fail after just 11 months, because their single Chica animatronic is blandly colored and boring. This looks to take place before Afton speaks to Henry. Gordon gives Afton the funding to rebrand the place. Further in the future, after the new animatronics have gone into production, Afton is seen discussing a prototype of Chica with a gray guy, and both worry about her bugged optics causing her to shove people into suits after mistaking them for endoskeletons. They don't intend to let her out to perform yet for that reason, but it seems like she has other plans. The last VHS takes a chaotic turn as two employees haul some animatronic suits that do appear to contain corpses. They talk about how they're required to throw them in the giant lava pit that is standard for Fazbear Entertainment, I guess. I wonder if we still have that. They also have to throw the Proto-Chica in there, but the blast pit seems to possess her as she gets the jump on them and pushes them in instead, causing the pit to speak to her and demand more be fed to it, and that she built it a new body. That's supported by this secret I found in the earlier Hydro City game completely by accident. Some story after this can be seen as we head into the extra levels at Afton Robotics. It appears that the Proto-Chica is working for the blast pit itself, feeding endoskeletons and people to it, but before she can burn us too, a giant robot caterpillar grabs her and pulls her in. This caterpillar is apparently a formation of all the things tossed in the pit, both souls and steel. That's kinda metal. Huh, literally. Maybe this is the body the Proto-Chica was made to build for the pit. The MC must use these portal orbs to teleport into the pit and restore its functionality with these keypads, avoiding the caterpillar destroying the path. When the pit is working again, the caterpillar can be burned too, saving the Fredbear's franchises and also countless lives. Maybe because we stopped it from eating anymore? The MC's reward is a nice day at the beach and the corpse of a shark, I guess. Did all that make sense? I sure hope not. You're not allowed to be smarter than me. To close this game out, I'd like to take a look at the other extras. This game has a lot of characters we never saw. There's a few originals like Music Man, but most are just variants on the guys we already saw, and they get a bit weird. I didn't play every single extra challenge night, but I looked at a few of them. In one mode, I visited Withered Chica's Party World in 2005, a torn-up and abandoned version of the diner, where the geometry is jagged and elevated enough for me to climb on top of it and people bot watch for the whole night. Not much of a challenge. Another mode took me to a new and modernized Chica's Party World, set in the far-off future of 2024. Seems to be very yellow. That's not the color I expected from the future. This place had a very awkward setup with glass doors and back entrances that let in guests such as creepy analog eyes Dee Dee. Yes, she actually startled me. Unlike JJ, Dee Dee doesn't hack anything. She does what she does in Ultimate Custom Night, adding in enemies. They all quickly come to my door. There's some kind of yellow fun-time Bonnie. There's Music Man. He gives Dee Dee a hug from outside after she realizes she's trapped in my office, and I don't get to see much after that. And I couldn't possibly end this without taking on Total Hell Mode. This mode, supposedly the hardest one in the game, puts you in a rapidly decaying building, littered with glitches and filled with every single animatronic in the entire game. From a green toy Foxy, to 4 balloon children clogging the vent, to whatever the heck I got killed by here. To defend yourself, you're given a gun that you can use to pick off a lot of the animatronics here, although certain ones are immune. And yes, this is where the famed mermaid scrap baby comes into play, sitting in a pit of water and slowly rising out until she begins a frantic crawl around the whole building. Said pit of water is very easy to fall into, and nothing can get you in there. That's one way to get an easy win, but the view sucks, so I didn't want to sit down there. Instead, I started jumping on every elevated surface I could find to break everyone's pathfinding. After some failures, I settled on standing on the broken edge above the pit where Merbaby is, and none of the animatronics can reach me there, at least not consistently. I did get got by this sliding golden Chica looking thing one time, but the next time it was not able to get in, and ended up duplicating itself twice during the night, making my view progressively worse. I still got to see a lot. There was a Halloween-looking Showtime Freddy, a dirty Chica in an apron, the Catter Killer emerging from Baby's pool, yellow versions of Funtime Freddy and Foxy who I shot at out of boredom, and Harley Sawyer flew by at one point. Hey, you're 2 years too early! And then I came out of the other side at 6 a.m. into what I think is the true ending. Nothing is left of the diner, and I must free the souls trapped within the paradigm. The simulation is out of memory, and all I can do now is leave. No animatronic left behind attacks. I am unopposed as I make my way to the exit, which is probably the reason I will have to export this video at a very high bitrate, and the rest of the ending plays out as a video.
Video log 5, starting now.
A video that you can barely hear! But if you turn your volume all the way up to listen, you're gonna go deaf from the music that plays in the following segment of someone goofing off with wireframe mode in Blender and making green Proto-Chica into a beautiful butterfly. What does this mean for FNAF lore? Well, calling it now, that's gonna be like 30 minutes of the video. I should make a shorter video after my Frick Bears one, I said to myself. But for such an interesting game as this, I believe in-depth coverage is worth the trouble, no matter what my Intel CPU has to say about it. I suppose we don't need to linger on it forever, though. We have something else to cover. Something I, in fact, have a little history with. Chica's Party World Rebaked. It's the only other one of these games I'd heard of before, and that was all due to one member of my chat. Now, I'm not gonna name names, but I was getting request after request after request, both in stream chat and in the comments on my videos for me to play this game. And it was for that reason that I refused to play it for a long time. It's like the logic where you might have planned to wash the dishes, but then your mom tells you to do it, and you don't want to anymore just on principle. It went on long enough, I finally had to put my foot down and tell the guy to cut it out. Then it went down to once a month or so. I swear I would interview this guy if I could. Is Chica paying you, man? Are you Chica on an alt account? Or are you this guy? He looks like someone who would do this. Okay, this segment was gonna end. Like, I am adding this the week of this going up. Why did I start getting new people consistently reminding me about Rebaked? Like just this last Saturday. I wasn't even playing a FNAF fan game.
When will you play Chica's Party World Rebaked? Because when you do, I'll get paid.
Why is Chica's Party World Rebaked, haunting my channel's narrative?
Maybe I should just make my channel entirely focused on Chica's Party World Rebaked. It's the only thing I ever play anymore. I stream it every day. Please don't. Well, it seems like that's what the masses want.
I am the ghost of Chica's Party World Rebaked.
Leave me alone! All you guys better be watching this video after this, or I'm gonna have some choice words. Anyway, I always thought the game looked really cute with a great art style that reminds me of early 3D graphics on the PlayStation. Been curious about it for a while. Chica's Party World Rebaked is a remake of the Chica's Party World demo from 2018 that I mentioned earlier, made into a full 5-night experience with a super improved plot, far smoother mechanics, and even multiple endings. For the longest time, I thought it was just a remake of the previous game. It looks like they've gotten that before, judging by this comment on their page. The game was released in 2023 and was developed by Poisonous Pastels and There's No Steak, or Avocado Dreams. So, Rebaked has emphasis on replayability and separating the nights into clear sections of plot. Therefore, it allows you to start from any point in the game that you've unlocked. This feature is always real nice when it comes to scripting around a game's events, that's for sure. Each night also comes with its own theme and menu render, some of the music being remixed from the 2018 demo's soundtrack by Lucina Santi. I hope I said your name right. These renders appear to be using higher poly models than the ones in the rest of the game. Making a whole nother set of models seems like a lot of effort to go through just for renders. I wonder if the higher poly ones were made first and then simplified when the style was decided upon. Each night begins at 11 p.m., and it's immediately obvious we aren't playing as a human. We are some kind of robot who speaks in a high-pitched voice.
My primary objective has been assigned. Record video surveillance and prevent tampering of footage. I should traverse and document my surroundings before proceeding.
This is Security, the robot we play as. Fun fact, his design is based off of the character of the same name found in FNAF World's Halloween troll game, if anyone remembers that. I'm sitting here acting like I even knew it existed before this. This starting bit happens prior to every night. You have a task assigned, and it must be completed before you get to do the usual office defense. This task takes place in a point-and-click style map, Not true 3D as this is a click team game, but I want to compliment how cleanly these panoramas scroll, if that's what they are. There's absolutely no fishbowl effect on them at all, and I originally wondered if the game had been made in Firefly, ClickTeam's limited 3D engine, or Godot. But no, this is just 2.5. Well, our first task is to get acquainted with the building. You have to visit every room on the map. That quickly turns not so fun because of how unclear said map is. So naturally, this leads into me spending a minute complaining about it. I may love the smoothness of the environment, but oh boy, the navigation needs help. For one, you can press tab to be reminded of your objective and to see the map, which has a little marker for where you are. It changes position when you move between long rooms like in the main hall, but I found myself wishing the marker would rotate to show which direction in the room I'm facing, cause I got turned around and went backwards a lot. It probably wouldn't be as big of an issue if the map was labeled or showed the room names when hovering over each one, though it does at least show your current location. I guess it expects you to very quickly commit to memory where everything is based on this Night 1 introduction. You also have this LED flash you can use to light your surroundings for a second, but it never felt important to use. After you complete your task, you gotta walk your butt all the way back to the office. Oh yeah, and you don't get any checklist or anything to tell which rooms you've already visited for this task, so you might get lost here easily. Regardless, the environment design here is pretty nice and colorful despite being dark. The original 2018 version had you start in a point-and-click scene as well, but there was no map to be found there. I don't see much similarity between the location layouts, but they do play the same little music loop before you enter the office. Well, either way, we end up in the office for Night 1.
I'm just saying, Russell really hasn't.
Hey, what did I ever do to you? Oh, that's our cupcake. A corrupted voicemail is recovered from the phone in the room, and it contains information on the one animatronic that activates tonight. It sounds like the diner has been experiencing a surge in activity that the animatronics aren't used to, and this one, Russell, wants to get away from the bright lights. That probably includes the bright lights situated in our head that we can flash down the hallway with the right mouse button. Their placement may not be obvious, but we can access the cameras with the bottom LAN camera option, which connects us to the camera network. See, you're switching between LAN and optical cameras, cause we're a robot and we have optics for eyes. When Russell leaves the stage, he will begin making his way to the office. He has a certain routine. I'm very familiar with it. After leaving, he will never return, instead going to Cam 3, from which he can either head left to Cam 2 or right to Cam 4. Once he's done this, he won't go backwards and will continue on to the corresponding side of the crossroads, that being these two top cameras. When he gets to one of those, you gotta watch for when he disappears, and that's when you flash the hall to blind him, which prompts surprise from us.
It seems that the characters are trying to enter the office. Secondary objective assigned. Keep them out.
It's just Russell for the rest of the night. It's a bit of a slow start. Don't start underestimating this guy, though. Or don't try and write down notes about the game while playing. He can get pretty zippy even on this night, exhibiting a tendency to skip cameras on his way to the crossroads.
No, I wish we could have been friends.
I like this guy's voice acting. I like all the voice acting in this game.
It seems a wire has frayed within my left arm. I will have to find something to repair it before proceeding.
After Night 1, our wandering task becomes to find electrical tape to repair a frayed wire in our arm. The game doesn't say where that is. However, waiting around long enough will prompt it to tell you. It's not too hard to figure out that backstage would be where repair stuff would be, though. While I'm getting there, I've been thinking about how almost all of these games have had a red bear. Like, the original 2018 version of this had Red Bear, which is now Russell's last name, Russell Red Bear. And in the Unreal Engine game, we had Showtime Freddy. Was it really that common to assume Molten Freddy was ever a performing bot? I'm assuming he's why they're all red. Did we ever get an explanation on why Molten Freddy is red when Funtime Freddy very much was not? Well, the silver chicken on the table has some tape for us.
The wire has been repaired. All motor functions have been restored.
As Night 2 begins, the voicemail recovered lays the seeds for some plot.
Apparently he's been favoring the inside of the vents. I can tell it's clogged up when his music starts going off inside. Must be a pain to get him out. I did talk to Top Hat about why he's... Yes, I talked to him. Don't give me that look. It's not my fault I'm the only one who actually does it.
With staff members in disagreement about how effective it is to treat the animatronics like people. The character introduced on Night 2 is Top Hat the Bunny. Like Russell, he's been trying to escape the bright lights, but his strategy is to hide in the vents as his small size allows him to. I really like this guy's design. I don't think I've seen anything like it in a FNAF fan game before. It's reminiscent of real animatronics that hide in barrels and stumps like Looney Bird from the Rockafire explosion. His older design was more in line with depictions of what people thought Funtime Bonnie would look like if he existed. Top Hat moves through the cameras and is always accompanied by what I think is supposed to be music. Sounds more like someone is angrily bashing pans together. It's not important to watch him on the cameras. Whenever he enters the vent, you'll see an indicator in the top right, and start hearing that music in your office gradually getting louder. You won't hear anything from the LAN cameras. To prevent Top Hat from getting in, the vent must be held closed until Top Hat hits it with a thunk. Even though the indicator stays for a while after this, it's safe to let go after he hits the door. I've seen that confuse most people I've watched play the game, even me, so maybe it'd be better if it went away immediately. Careful not to slip off holding the lever, it's possible with how the office movement works. Before Night 3, the power needs to be fixed, as it's been knocked out by this cupcake sitting on top of the breaker. This is the start of the 11 PM sections having a bit more relevancy to the gameplay and plot. These cupcakes become a real hassle in the office parts. It's difficult to know when to look for one, since they rely on a sound cue that apparently sounds like heavy breathing? A sound cue I never heard over the music, but they're stealthy and randomly appear in the cameras. If you don't corrupt the camera signal when you see one, it'll get into the office and jump you, and its latent electrical interference on your robot self applies one of several debuffs. I've had it randomize which camera I actually saw when I clicked one, I've had it make the camera view rotate, and I've had it do something else, but I didn't know what it was because it didn't seem like any of my abilities were affected. The debuff effects wear off eventually, according to an automatic repair timer that appears on the bottom of the screen. They are just a mild issue compared to the hell that is Lolbite.
You know exactly why she's been like this now. Of course she's gonna want the staff to be watching her while she's on her best behavior. Can you really blame her after what happened with Lolbite? She wants to be called Lolbite now.
Having apparently transitioned from a previous character known as Tangle, Lolbite is the pirate fox seen at the left of the stage. At one point, I saw a green fox head in the hall, which in the files is stated to be that Tangle character. Robot sentience. Oh, crap.
That's me! Oh dear.
What the fuck was that? What was that? Lolbite has the most aggressive personality. She will jump between most of the cameras, only ignoring the crossroads and main stage. If you don't watch her, her anger meter will increase, resulting in your death when it fills. She isn't that bad on Night 3, but boy does she get annoying when she speeds up. Sometimes it feels like she isn't anywhere, when in reality she probably just left the camera you just got to checking and spawned in one you already looked at during that cycle. She loves moving all the time. Even back in 2018, she was just as zippy. As the meter gets higher, she begins playing a music box tune, and listening for it as you run through cameras can help you find her if you're really running out of time. What also worked for me was keeping an eye out for the meter appearing at the top out of my peripheral vision. The task for Night 4 is just filler, with you having to investigate a noise coming from somewhere in the building, which turns out to be Top Hat playing in the ball pit.
What? I won't tell you what to do. Carry on.
However, while on my way, I saw Lolbite hurry away to avoid me. Ooh, I'm being stalked. Nice. You could also call Night 4's new threat filler, at least to a degree. The Silver Chicken starts roaming tonight, that being the slumped over robot you see every time you check backstage at both 11 PM and in the cameras. This is the only character besides the cupcake that was not present in the 2018 version of the game. The voicemail suggests the character has a staring problem, and that shining a light at it may make it stop, since it seems like none of the other robots like bright lights either. You know, that seems like a big design flaw for robots meant to perform on a flashy show stage. Either way, Silver's whole thing is staring. You do not want to look at her when she's on a camera, because if you do it too long, she will immediately appear in your office, and by then, you will only have a few moments to flash her before she attacks. If you've gotten into a routine with watching the others, Silver throws a minor wrench into it, especially when she chooses to visit the crossroads, which can make tracking Russell's last stage more dangerous. Thankfully, she seems unable to share a camera with Lolbite. I like how rather than sporting a bleak, full gray appearance, she's adorned herself with a little bow. For anyone who tuned into my first time playing this game, you'll know Night 4 was where I met a wall, the difficulty having become too much at the time.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what I did.
Oh shit!
But coming back to it with more energy and without having gone through 3 other FNAF fan games the same day, it took me about 3 or 4 tries to beat it. Unfortunately, I cannot say the number of tries for Night 5 stayed in the single digits. The task is simple: to replace your bulb as the LED flash has burnt out. After seeing Lolbite before, I looked around to catch any snooping characters and ended up catching Top Hat. I wonder if there are others in the other segments. Well, get back on task and change that bulb, cause you're gonna need it in the office. Tonight, it's time to deal with Chica herself. Alright, so... Chica. The call for Night 5 gives you nothing on what to do about Chica. It's entirely story-focused. But after she stares you down and leaves the stage, your normal cycle will likely have you finding her on a camera so that a comment on her is made.
The chicken character avoids the land camera. I'll have to take note of where she is.
If she's seen, she'll move out of view, never standing normally like the others. This is where I kinda don't know what to do with her. She goes to the crossroads like Russell, but she starts jumping between them before she actually enters the hallway. I don't know how many times she jumps before moving, but when she jumps, she makes a loud clanging sound that is sometimes accompanied by a voice line. If you've heard the sounds start up and have noticed her dart away on a crossroads camera, best to start flashing that hall in advance, especially when you don't see her there anymore. There doesn't seem to be a consistent pattern. I thought she would be in the hall every 3 thunks, but once she only did 1, and another time she did 4. This night is where I kinda got fed up with the game, honestly. It's so vague about what Chica does. When you think on it, you realize the game never actually even says where she's gonna be coming from. Honestly, the only reason I thought she would likely attack from the hall was because she was a door character in the 2018 version. Surviving her on Night 5 was mostly the result of spamming hall flashes whenever I heard a scary noise. I didn't know if that was what they wanted, but it worked. You know, the game's just kinda bad at explaining Chica's mechanics in general. You don't get told her full deal until you beat the game and can play the custom night, where it finally tells you everything, and even then it's still kinda unclear. In relation to, the cupcake sound cue is never mentioned before this. Oh, and wanna know something else pretty important about the cupcake that you probably wouldn't notice because there's no other reason to check the main stage camera after Lolbite and Russell leave? You can see the cupcake leave Chica's hand on the main stage camera when it moves to somewhere else in the building. This being far easier to keep an eye out for than its super subtle sound cue that I'm gonna be honest, you'll never hear it. This visual cue seems to have been important enough for Chica to care about leaving the cupcake on the table in front of her when she herself leaves the stage, making sure you can still check for its presence. And here's something kinda off topic, but when getting footage for that visual cue, I found out the custom night is seemingly bugged. It is impossible to play a night with everyone on 0 AI, as they will all activate eventually regardless of difficulty. In what might have been the developers forgetting to remove a gradual increase in AI as the night progresses? Does that mean 6-10 mode is even harder than intended? Anyway, on another topic, you know how I said not to underestimate Russell? Yeah, he starts pulling some bullshit on Night 5, easily trumping Lolbite in terms of being horrible to deal with. He's so fast that he makes a habit of skipping straight from spawn to the crossroads, and Silver showing up there too makes it hard to know when he's in the hall. He might speed through the hall so fast you never even see him there. Thus, it becomes necessary to flash the hallway after a certain period just to be safe, especially before and after dealing with Top Hat, even if sometimes he will exhibit an utter disregard for the rules. Perhaps this time I missed with my flash, although it looked like it should have hit. I watched this happen to someone else! Besides that stuff with Chica and Russell, a lot of other issues crop up during Night 5 and honestly even Night 4. The majority of the gameplay is focused in the cameras. That's fine and it's been done plenty of times, but if you're going to do that, they ought to be a tad easier to click on, or just have less of them. I realized that something I missed earlier is that you can press A and D to switch between the LAN and optic cameras faster, but this game, as with many other fan games, has an animatronic you must search for on the cameras, meaning it requires quick cycling through them, and a lot of clicking. In my opinion, an example of this being done right is in Playtime with Percy. Anytime you need to search the cameras, it's pretty doable because of the decent size of the camera icons compared to your small circular cursor. But here, you have this somewhat large cursor that you have to click on the small circle icons with, and as you're worn down by the night, it gets easier and easier to miss them with just how constantly you have to be cycle clicking through them. Because Lolbite's been smoking Faz crack backstage and is teleporting at lightning speed. Behold the winner of the title of Killed Me at 5 AM when I couldn't find her, which resulted in a black kick mark on the kitchen wall of my house. Out of all this struggle, a victory eventually comes. But they've started to escape. Their ally from the outside has broken the entrance door, and the animatronics escaped with them in haste with no alarms to be sounded. Just as you've done the past few nights, you stay put and record their activity, saving it for the CEO to extract when he arrives within the next few hours. Though a massive amount of company property has been stolen, you did your job exactly as you were reprogrammed to do. Your purpose has been served, and you are no longer of use. Once the security footage is obtained, you will be dismantled and put away for parts. Congratulations, security. Chica's party world will be shut down for an indefinite period of time, and plans to reopen are unclear. The news surrounding the incident states that with the obtained security footage, a lead has surfaced and the alleged culprit has been taken into custody. The missing animatronics still have yet to be found. As this is the false ending, we, security, did as we were meant to. Played right into the hands of people who couldn't care less about what happens to us. The robots, us included, have shown clear signs of sentience, spying on us from corners, reacting in surprise to unexpected events, exhibiting hobbies, however simple, but those things alone aren't enough to convince security to stray from the path. And this is where replaying the 11 PM segments comes into play. See that it says you were reprogrammed? We need to break that reprogramming. Oh wait! I hear something. A new threat on the horizon. What is it? Maybe it's the threat of a test coming up. Have you been paying attention? So, how'd you do? Let me know! Secrets can be found at 11 PM on nights 2, 3, and 5. You might wonder how you're supposed to know they're there, but every one is located near where you would normally be going for your task. meaning you just have to pay a little more attention to your surroundings. As you near backstage on night 2, you may see a paper lying next to the ball pit.
It's a termination notice addressed to a Miss Heather Gray on June 21st of the year 2023. The reasons for dismissal are noted as frequent disrespect of superiors and threats of violence, effective immediately. My memory does not recall meeting her, but the name is familiar.
After fixing the power in the kitchen on night 3, notice that the door you normally have no reason to check is now a point of interest.
I hear something coming from the doorway. Perhaps I should investigate.
Oh, we have to do this, Russell.
I know, but couldn't we just, I don't know, talk to them? Maybe they're friendly.
As much as I would like that, I don't think we have that option right now. We only have a few days left. Look, let's just keep trying for now. If we can't get through to them and it gets desperate, I'll take things into my own hands.
Well, all might help tonight, right? Her temper's been nasty lately, but maybe she'll be able to get to them.
Oh, I can only hope. For the sake of all of us.
I should return to my station.
Of course, it's my worst enemy that was wanting to be nice to me. Who back there is corrupting him, and where can I find... Right, yes. On night 5, on the way back to your office, can you hear the phone ringing?
Chica, there you are. Are you guys almost ready? I should be headed down in the next few hours. Make sure you have everyone with you when I get there.
Who is this? I suppose she had the wrong number.
These secrets are still available to find even if you've missed earlier ones. You're most likely to find the phone call first as you hear the ringing on the way to your office, and then be told there are other secrets you've yet to see. That would prompt you to look for them in the earlier 11 p.m. segments. I think this is a very good way of alerting the player to the existence of another ending without being too hand-holdy. Once you've collected all of the secrets, you are unfortunately required to beat Night 5 again.
You wanna fire me? Fine. You can silence me, silence every single person who tells you the truth, but it doesn't stop it from being real. These machines are alive. You can argue all you want, they don't think, they don't feel, but no ordinary robot would ever show more compassion than you have as a leader. They're smarter than you think, I promise you that. You can't keep them here forever, and if they want out, they'll find a way to make it happen. And all things considered, I'm glad I won't have to be working for you when it happens. 6-2.
But doing so this time brings security to a different conclusion. Through the nights he has spent here, something is starting to click. The robots exhibit such human-like traits that they might as well be people, just made of different material. Who's to say that means security isn't also like them? As he wanders out of the office, he sees the animatronics on their way out of the building. It really is now or never as he taps Chica's shoulder to get her attention. She initially greets him with disdain. After all, security was reprogrammed to get in her and the others' way and prevent their freedom. But security surprises her when he asks to come with them. She considers it in silence before someone comes to see what's taking so long. A woman in a hood stands in the doorway. Her appearance and voice are recognizable enough for security to remember that she is who originally constructed him. Heather Gray embraces her creation, happy that he no longer seems to be the robot the company turned him into. Security walks outside to be greeted by their enemies turned family, and in doing so, he disconnects himself from the mainframe, taking all evidence of their freedom with him. The news surrounding the incident states that no leads have been uncovered due to a substantial lack of evidence regarding the stolen property. All databases have been completely wiped, and most trails lead to dead ends. Chica's party world shows no sign of reopening in the near future. I really do like it when Fangames give their characters more in-depth stories like this, even if it was simple. There's a little extra to this though that I'm not sure of the canonicity of, but I'll touch on it anyway. The Game Jolt page says that security must watch over the place while it's in an adjustment period prior to planned renovations, but those renovations aren't specified. However, the FNAF Fangame wiki page for this game clarifies that these include the removal of the AI in the robots to stop them from causing issues for management, which makes their desire to escape a lot darker. If this is true, they're running from what is essentially a death sentence. Outside of additional story details, the wiki also mentions an update being planned for the game as of April 2024, with some teasers having been shown for it and a decent amount of comments having been left on the game's page about it, but I can't find a lot else. With the conclusion of Chica's Party World Rebaked, that's it for Chica's Party World fan games I could find that were made prior to 2025. Yeah, 5 in total. 2016, 2018, 2019, and both the 3D and 2D Chicas from 2023. It's kinda cool to see how most of them had similar ideas of how the location might have looked and what characters might have been there, clearly taking their inspiration from Funtime Chica. And even the oldest iterations still gave a spotlight to the prime misfit from sister location, Lolbit. I'm curious to see if we'll start getting fan games based around the canon version of Chica's Party World. Gotta give them some time to develop, it's only been a year, but I'm betting there's more than one in the works as I speak, and I'm looking forward to possibly playing them. For now though, this is where Chica's Party ends. Thank you for taking this journey with me. It's been a fun one. Well, you know who it's been. This has been Glamrock Dusky, and remember, have a Bazzerific day! Remember to subscribe! How do you do? I'm literally Southern and I can't do the accent. Literally. Remember to subscribe! That was good enough.